Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity. Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity.
Hey there, it's Rebear and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be showing you how I track my reading. So in the last several videos for Veda, you've seen a couple of things that help me keep track of books and things that I'm reading. But this is the main squeeze. This is the place that everything goes. So on Goodreads, you see that my wish list, it's a wish list basically. My TBR list is a wish list on Goodreads. And then when I acquire a book, oh, I thought that was muted. Hang on. Okay. But when I acquire a book, I remove it from that list and I add it to my Libib. So you've seen those things, but I also want to show you how I track what I've actually read, a little bit more information about each book, what I've acquired, a little bit more information about each, where I'm at on my series that I'm working on, and new releases that I'm interested in. It's just got a lot of stuff. So the base for this spreadsheet was created by Brock Roberts, and I reused the 2020 version. I know he comes out with a new version every year, but I went ahead and started it before the new version came out. So I will link Brock Roberts down below. There he is. Let's Read on YouTube. So this is the credits page, and I usually do have it hidden so that it's out of the way. So then, oh, I must have typed something here. This is your goals in getting started is what it's called. Oops. Okay. So you put in how many books you'd like to read for the year, and then it will calculate for you how many books you usually read in a month. You can adjust this number, I believe. You put in how many books you have unread that you own. This does include ebooks as well, which is why the number is so high, because I have a lot of digital books that I haven't read. You can also add a monthly budget, and if your library card requires a fee, then you can add that in. Mine does not. And then you can add in any things that you subscribe to. So currently I just have Audible. I don't know why I keep subscribing to Audible. I have not. I've listened to one audiobook this year, so I'm not really sure why I still put money into it, but you know, here we are. So then the next page is your categories. This sheet is very important. This is the base for all of the drop-down menus that you have throughout the spreadsheets, as well as your your charts and summary page. So this is very important. So you basically, anytime that you want to add something in, you can go down. There's a baseline here that tells you that you can't go any further than that. And that's just because of how he did the formula. You could go in and change the formula if you so desired. So the areas that you tend to add in the most are going to be things like genre, publisher, location, country, those kinds of things. So I don't use all of these, and you'll see a little bit when I get to the book survey page. I've kind of closed out or like minimized, hidden the columns that I don't use, so that it's visually just showing me the things I actually want to track. But that way I don't have to go in and adjust all of the formulas, because that sounds like too much effort for me. Like, I could, but also it's so much work. Like, I could just hide them and ignore it. So that's what I do. All right, so you have gender, age group, which is target audience specifically. Genre, which I add, kind of my own things in here every time for kind of how I categorize things. There are things that I used previously that I wouldn't use now, like manga. All right, anyway, format, publisher, which I try to go with the parent company if I can. So I will always go back to It's Penguin Random House, whether it's Penguin Teen or whatever. The parent is Penguin Random House, so I go back to that. And same thing with Hachette, HarperCollins, Macmillan, Simon & Schuster, Huffington, Mifflin, and Harcourt. I guess I could have just said HMH. And Andrews McNeil. Those are kind of like the main things that you see a lot. Tor, I will use on his own, even though I believe he is actually under Hachette, maybe? I don't know. All right, so acquired, so how you bought it, or if you paid for it, how, if it was a gift, if you received it for free, if it was an ARC, etc. Wow, etc. So yeah, and I did add in subscription because with when you have a subscription to a service, I wanted to like track that separately. And then if I used a credit, like an Audible credit, then I wanted to track that separately. So then you have new and used. So if you bought it new, if you got it used, or if you got it from the library, I added in digital because I feel like that's a separate category. Location is where you bought it from or where you acquired it from. Series, so this is helping you track if it was a series that you started, if it's current, if it's ongoing, like you're in the middle of it, if you completed the series, if you DNF'd the series, if it's a standalone book, or if you're caught up with the series. Country, I have kind of changed how I use this one, so it's kind of a little bit interesting. I did add Otherworld and multiple and space to track things because I wanted to track where the book is actually set, as well as the author's country. So if it's set in a fantasy world that doesn't really exist, then it's Otherworld. If it goes into multiple countries, or it goes back and forth between the real world and a fantasy world, then it's multiple. And then if it, of course, is set in space, then there you go. Length, this is based off of how long the book is, not in page number, but if it fits in the category of a novel, a novella, a novelette, a short story, flash fiction, whatever. So you have your options there. Protagonist, I don't track this part anyway, but the protagonist's gender, or if it's multiple, then you would put ensemble. Diversity, I don't track on here because I wish there was a better way to show it in the chart and to track it so that you can mark each thing. So I just don't track it currently because I don't know. I haven't gone into to really figure out a better way to track this so that I can add every single kind for each book. So we'll see if I can get to that at some point. And what was the original language? Returned, this is to do with if it was a library book, physical or digital copy of the book. Ratings, originally this does have half stars, but I removed those so that it wouldn't pop up in the list because I don't use half stars because you can't use them on Goodreads anyway. Then we have status. So if you finished it, if it's a reread, if it's a DNF, if you're currently reading it, if you returned it unread, or if you read it previously, which this is something I added in because I wanted to add a category in my acquisitions, which you'll see in a minute. So if you reviewed it, yes, no, and if you have it planned. So no, I don't actually use. It's either either it's blank, or then when I finish the book, I put planned, and then when I finish catching up on reviews, then I put yes. Earth, where it takes place, I don't use this anymore. TBR, if I acquired it this year, if I acquired it in a previous year, or if it's a reread. Readathons or book clubs. So if it says Avengers Initiative Reading Challenge, that is the group book. If it's AIRC event, then it's something I read during an event for the Avengers. And then I have other readathons as well. Unfortunately, I haven't figured out a way to show when readathons overlap, so I need to go in and take care of that at some point. I previously was last year narrating audiobooks, so I had a category for if I narrated the book, yes or no. And then author history, so I added in a category to show if I have a history with this author, if I am acquainted with them, if it's a first impression, the first time I've read from that author, or if I've read from them before, basically. And then both is for if it's an anthology that has authors that I've read from and authors that I haven't. So there's that. All right, so let's move on to the next tab. Next, we have acquisitions. This is where you can put in what books you acquire throughout the year. So you add in the date and the title of the book. Then you also type in the author's name. You have the age group, which comes up in a drop-down menu. So this is the target audience, the genre, the length, the format, the publisher, where you acquired it from. What? Oh, there we go. Fixed it. Okay. Where you acquired it from, if it's physical or digital, a physical or digital copy, how you acquired it. So if it was a purchase, a gift, if you got it for free from the publisher, if it was an ARC, a library book, if you had it on your shelf previously, which that comes in to play later. So we'll come back to that. If it was new or used, how much it cost when you purchased it, and what the list price is. And then it will tell you what your savings are. So then I do have a couple of tabs I've added in. So I have a read tab. So once I've read one of these books that I've acquired, I will mark it. So I read Mooncakes this year, so I marked it as read. And then it was the first time I read from that author, so I wanted to put first impression. And I do fill this out, regardless of if I've read it or not. So I have read a Jessica Townsend book before, so I marked this one as acquainted. I've read a Jenna Evans Walsh book before, so it's acquainted. I've read from Lanny Taylor before, so it's acquainted, but it was the first, I hadn't read from Shauna McGuire before I purchased all of the, what do you call? What do you call them? Wayward Children. So I marked those all as first impression. I'm not sure why those first couple were different, so I fixed that. But yeah, you do have areas for if you borrowed it from the library as well. So when I do have a library book, I put that in, all the information, and then it will mark it green if it is returned. It will mark it in red if it's past the due date. If it's not past the due date, then it will be in green, I think. It's just, yeah, it's like a light green. Okay, so there's that whole page, and yeah. So I just track as I buy new books. I put them in once I have them here. So I will do this entry and do the remove it from my, so when I buy a new book, the routine is that I scan it on Goodreads and I remove it from my Goodreads list. I scan it into my Libib app so that it's in my catalog, and I type in the information across in this particular spreadsheet. So that's everything that I do when I buy a new book. All right, the next tab is book survey. So this is where you fill in all the information about the books that you read this year. So I have condensed some different things. So I'm just going to go through what I have visible, and I'm not going to go through the things that I've hidden or no longer use, simply for the fact that I don't want to take the time. This is already going to be a long video. So you can go to Brock's overview of his trackers of his spreadsheet, of his own spreadsheet, to, see the original version of it. But I have made adjustments to all of my pages pretty much, just to customize it to me and my reading. So you put in the title of your book, and then you put in the date where you start. When I've started a book and I haven't finished it yet, then it will be like this row. It'll have the title, the date I started, and currently reading. I usually don't put in hardly any other information, if anything. Usually I don't even put this in. I don't know why I filled this out, but normally I just would leave it like, say I started reading Wilder Girls today. Then I would put 8/1 or whatever the date is, and then currently reading. And that's it. I wouldn't fill out anything else. Once I finished reading it, then I would change this to read, and I would put this to planned, and then I would put in all the information and then continue on and go all the way across. The only thing I would not fill in is the what do you call it, bro? Oh man. The rating. I would skip the rating and come back to that at the end. So, yeah. So these are all the books that I've finished, but I haven't typed up my review yet, but this one I have done my review for. So you can kind of see that. Okay, so you put in the title, you put in the start date. When I finish the book, then I will type that in as well. And then I will put the status. If it is a reread, then I will mark reread here. But otherwise, it's just going to go from currently reading to read. Oh, I forgot something. On the acquisitions page, I do have an option for if it's a book that I bought an additional version of, or I borrowed it from the library when I originally read it, and then I bought an edition of it. Then I would mark that as previously read. And that's something I wanted to be able to track for books that I have acquired and I have read before I bought them. So there are a couple of books like that. The French editions of Harry Potter. I started collecting them last year and I wanted to finish my collection. Okay. Don't judge. I just wanted to have the whole collection. And I used credits anyway, so I didn't even pay for it. So don't be mad. Okay. So then I will mark if I typed up my review yet, the author's name. The author's country is the country they are from, or the country that they currently live in. It's kind of hard to decide which one I want to put sometimes, but like with A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, I ended up putting her home country, which is Ghana. I think she might live in the US now, but she's from Ghana. So I put Ghana. Setting, so this will be, again, if it's set, if it's a nonfiction, then I'll leave this blank. And that's true for, like, if I don't have that information, like an anonymous book, these will be blank. So I just leave it blank if that information is not possible to answer. Like with Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, there's not really an answer for where the setting is. So, yeah. I already kind of went over that, so we'll move. Whoa! Oh no! Go back. Okay. It's fine. All right, so then author history, I fill out if I read from them before or not. So the first book I read of Shauna Maguire's, I put first impression, but then when I read the next book in the series, it was then going to become acquainted. So in the acquisitions page, I bought all those books before I read from her. So it was first impression for all of them. But when I read them, after I had read from her, from that point on, I am acquainted with that author. So I hope that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain. All right, target audience, and then we have the genre, the length, the format. If it was an audiobook, then you can put in the narrator's name and the hour's length of the video or of the audiobook. Whether you read it physically or digitally, the number of pages in the book, the year it was published, the publisher, and then once I have completed my review, I will come back in and put my rating in. I don't finalize my ratings until I type up my review, because that's where I do like my categorized ratings, so I can kind of figure out a little bit more of what I thought and why I want to rate it a specific rating. So where I acquired it from, which I've actually been doing this wrong lately, I think. So I need to go back and fix this. So acquired should actually be if you purchased it. Yeah. If I purchased it during that year, then it should be purchased. So this should be purchased. This, I think, is purchase. This is purchase. I don't know what I'm doing. Why did I do this wrong? I'm going to have to go back through this whole list and fix this column, because for some reason I must have just been like too like rushing through when I've been filling this out, and I've been doing this column wrong. So if I purchased it this year, then it would be purchase. If I had it on my shelf at the beginning of the year, like with the Fire on High, I had it on my shelf before the year started. So that should be shelf. Same thing with Bird Box, should be shelf. Night of Cake and Puppets, I bought this year. Writing your novel from start to finish, that should be shelf. So I've got to go back and fix all that. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, Lord. Okay. New or used, location or service, where I got it from. So if it was a gift, then it's a gift. But everything else mostly should be purchase. No, this wasn't. Yeah, that one was. Yeah. Okay, never mind. And then if it's a series, then I kind of fill that in as well. If I am caught up with the series entirely, so Legendborn, the second book hasn't come out yet, so I'm caught up. If I started a series, but there are more books going in it, then if it's the first book and it was the first, like this one, it was the first book in the series, but I'm not caught up, like the next book is out, then it's started. And then once I read the next book in the series, then it was ongoing, because I was still continuing. I was going on with the series, and the series was continuing. And then if, of course, it's a standalone, then you do that. What number the book is within the series. So if it's a series, then that is applicable. But if it's a standalone, then it is not. Language is the original language it was written in. And then readathon, what readathon it came from, or what readathon I read it during, or if it was a book club book, then what book club it was. And then previous year or this year, if I got it this year, if I purchased it this year or acquired it this year, then it's this year. If I had it when the year started, if I already owned it, then it's previous year. So anything that says previous year should have been shelf here instead of purchase. So I've got to go back and fix that. Oops. So it will calculate automatically for you how many days it took you to read the book. You can tell some of them I took longer and some of them I read really fast. And that's just how I am as a reader. Some things I will read really, really slowly. Some things like this was something that I read. It was a nonfiction. It's a writing craft book. So I didn't read it all at once. And I didn't have a character board that I was putting it on originally, so I was just taking my time with it. But then when I decided to put it on a character board, then I flew through the last bit in a few days. So it says 61 days, but really, I honestly read it in like maybe 3, the majority of it. So you can definitely see where I have slumps and times where I'm like struggling to focus on reading. And then other times where I like fly through a book. Like A Song of Ice and Ruin I read in 6 days. Which is like so fast because it's a 466 page book. So then you have the Gantt chart, which tracks the book amount of time that or when you were reading the book. So you can see if you read more than one book at the same time, for example. Like right here. I had Ever the Hunted going, but I paused it to read other books. Days of Blood and Starlight, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, which I read in a day, so it can't even like put a line that skinny. I read With a Fire on High, and I might have started Sanctuary. Or no, I read With a Fire on High, I read Sanctuary, and then I might have started Bird Box before I finished Ever the Hunted. And you can kind of see that based off of this, like, block. So you can see what you took a longer time to read and kind of see throughout the year what you're looking like. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool way of, like, kind of viewing things, and it also will space itself over based on when you started the book. So you can see I read a lot throughout this time. Then I had kind of a period where I was a little bit slower due to that book, and you can see where it took me longer, and you can the spacing is bigger when I was going slower through books and wasn't really reading a lot. And then like right here, I wasn't reading a lot for several days, for a couple weeks actually. And then we had Avengers Ultron Battle and Vaultathon together. So I read a lot. So it was like nothing. It was like all of this, nothing, everything. So then from there, you also have the summary page. So I have made some adjustments to this page as well. I tried to put them all in teal so that I can note what I have put in and changed. But basically this is just kind of it will put all of the numbers in here for you pretty much. Everything is already going to be put in based on what you put in your book survey page and your acquisitions page. And even on the getting started page, it puts all of the information in here for you. So I added in this formula here to actually track how many books it predicts I will be able to read by the end of the year. So I've clicked on it so that you can see up here in this bar what the formula is if you wanted to use it. So each year I just need to change the date that it goes by. But it predicts how many books it thinks I'm going to read from the beginning of the year through the end of the year based on my current pace. So when I am behind, it should be lower than my reading challenge goal. But when I get caught up, it should be about 85. So you can tell I'm dreadfully behind on books because it is predicting almost 15 books underneath what I should be. So that's fun. But this has basically a listed format, and a percentage is also shown, which comes up the next page. So you don't really need to worry about that too much, but it just tracks a lot of different things for the charts. So condition, I did add a digital option because that was something I personally added in. I had something put in here, but I guess I removed it. So I do have an acquisition or my author history for a book that books that I have read, are on here. And then over here on the other side, we'll get to in a second, I have the other ones. So then I had my narration stuff. I added in a chart for that. So I wanted to have the summary page reflect that so I can actually create a chart. Okay, so that's everything for the books I read side. So like it's split, this whole side over here is like books I've read. Then when we scroll over this way, it's going to be books that I've purchased or acquired. So the acquisition stuff is pretty much the same information mostly. This is something else I added in, my total books that I've acquired, what I have read since the beginning of the year that I've acquired, books that I've read that I acquired this year, books that I bought but I had already previously read them, and then unread ones, so I can see that number. Digital books I also added into acquisition because it's the same thing as the condition section. You can do all these things for budgeting. I don't really bother with them, to be honest. Oop, there we go. And then the acquisitions author history I also added in. I think that's everything. Yeah, pretty sure. This page is harder to navigate than most of them because of the charts. Charts are just hard to navigate. Or not charts, lists like this. I mean, technically it's a chart, but these are the charts. So this is the charts page, and this is where I get all of my graphics for my stats at the end of the year. And it basically shows you all the same information that you see in the summary page, but instead it's in a charted format. So it's bar graphs, pie charts, etc. Line graphs, all those things. It shows you the same information. And again, this left side is all the book survey information, so books you read, and then the right side is acquisitions, the things that you acquired. So yeah, that's that. There is a publisher page, but I don't really use this for anything. It just kind of tracks some information regarding publishers. Some people are more interested in this info than others. So for me, I don't really use this page, but it's nice. Series tracking. So this is where you go in and manually track as you read through a series. So, for example, I need to add in A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. Series status started. My status caught up. The next book we don't know yet. Number in series 2, number completed 1. Do I own the next one yet? No, because it's not available, so I'm going to leave it blank. As you can see with Legendborn, because it's not available, I left it blank. And then it will do the percentage done for you. But this will work for all the series. So you can see anything in green, I can continue on because I own the next book. Anything with the yellow caught up means that I cannot continue with it yet because the next book has yet to come out. And then anything in red is, I need to acquire the next book. I don't have it yet, so I need to get my hands on that book. And then when I'm fully completed a series that is done and over, like Daughter of Smoke and Bone is the first series that I completed so far this year, it is put in black. And that I think is, I have made some adjustments to the custom, or to the conditional formatting to do that so that I can see a little bit more clearly. But for example, this, I can also change. I do own that book now, so I can change that to be green. I read volume 2 here, so that needs to become volume 3. Okay. I'll adjust this in a minute because I can't really remember. But you kind of get the idea there. All right, so then we move over to the new releases page. Now, this is where I track books that I hear about or whatever that are, they have yet to come out when I hear about them. And they're this year books. So if it's a new release, I try not to add it to my wish list. I try to add it to this page instead. So I put the title, the author name, and the release date. And then once the book turns green, that means it's come out. So I need to put it as if I own it. Yes or no. So this is the case for, let's see. So I'll go through while I'm looking at it. So it's white until it is released, and then it turns green. And then once I own it, then it will change to yellow, telling me read the book. And then once I've read it, it'll turn black. To get the idea, right? Yeah, so those are the pages that I personally use. The Get Started, the categories, the acquisitions, book survey. The Gantt, I don't use a lot, but I'm going to keep it there because I like to look at it. Summary and charts are very important for me. Series tracking and new releases, also very important. So that is everything that I do with the spreadsheet, and those I hope you can kind of see my adjustments, but again, the only way you're gonna really be able to tell how many things I've added in or removed is by actually seeing the original. That is everything. I hope you guys enjoyed, and that kind of gets you guys through everything that I do for tracking what I read and what I acquire, and organizing books that I read and buy. So yeah, I hope that these videos have been helpful to you, for you to kind of see how I keep myself organized in those ways. So I have some more videos that kind of show you other things that I do with my reading stuff, but it's not really tracking my reading, it's for other things. So you'll see those in the next few weeks. Without any further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, whatever time it is for you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down below so that you'll be notified every time I post a new video. I will see you guys tomorrow with another BookTube beta video. Peace out, Bear Scouts.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your stress. I mean a bare necessities, that's why a bear can rest at ease with just the bare necessities of life. Yeah, with just the bare necessities of life.
Yeah, man.